Hi, it's Kelly with citruscycles.ca. I'm here with the Load 75 in Germany, made by Riesenmuller in Germany. I've got an in-depth video review, including a detailed ride test where I go through all of the specs of this bike over on our website at citruscycles.ca. This is just a quick overview of some of the new features that are available that I'm really excited about, and you can find all of those new features, pricing, you can configure one to be built for you in Germany the way you want over on our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find our contact information, so if you have questions, you can contact us. If you want to set up an appointment to try one for yourself, you can do that as well. And all of that's on our website at citruscycles.ca. So as I mentioned, I've got an in-depth video of the bike, but just want to walk you through some of the updates. Before I do that, just to give you an idea what this is, obviously it's a front loader box cargo bike. What makes this super unique is not only do we have the suspension fork up front, which is going to help not only smooth out the ride for your passengers or for your load, also gives you superior control over the bike. If you get onto some rough roads here, potholes, gravel. Hey, I've got a few customers that are actually mountain biking with this with their dog. That suspension fork is going to help you stay in control of the bike so you're not feeling like you're going to be thrown off. But even more unique is on the back end here, we also have a rear shock, an independent swing arm. Not only does that greatly improve your comfort, but it also ensures that both of your wheels are always on the ground. That's going to give you tremendous control. It has a very positive effect on the handling of this bike. This is one of my favorite cargo bikes to ride because it's so fun to ride. It just handles incredibly well. You got to come try it yourself. So what's new? What am I so excited about? Well, I've been waiting for this one. This particular model has the roll-off with electronic shifting, also combined with a Gates carbon fiber belt. So now I don't have to worry about maintaining my chain. I don't have to clean and oil it. I don't have to worry about keeping it clean after I ride in the rain. This is essentially maintenance free. When you get the load configured with the NVOLO hub, which is a continuously variable transmission with a 380% gear ratio, which you can also shift while you're stopped, it also comes with a Gates carbon belt. But what I love about the roll-off, in addition to being able to shift while you're stopped, and of course while you're coasting or while you're pedaling, the electronic shifting is pretty cool, but it's got a 520% gear ratio, a massive gear ratio. I've got some really big hills in Ladysmith, and this is going to help me get up those hills no problem. Speaking of hills, we do have the new Bosch CX Gen 4 motor in here. Wow, when you look at it here, that's small. That's really small. In fact, it's 50% smaller than the previous version, 25% lighter. Same amount of torque for the hills. This is the cargo line specific, so this has a very interesting response. It gives you lots of power right from the get-go, say compared to the CX. It has the same amount of torque as the CX. In fact, physically, I believe it's the same motor, just programmed differently. We now have a much higher support level as well on the turbo level. In fact, at all levels, you get a little bit more support compared to the previous generation. We've still got the dual batteries, which is great, dual 500 watt hour power packs, easy to bring along. I'll show you later in another segment of the video the new child seats. Very cool. We've got on this particular bike, we don't have the rear rack configured, so they've integrated the Supernova light into the fender here. Really slick looking. And when I pull either of the brake levers, you can see it brightens. So they're actually brake lights visible at almost a kilometer. Up front here, another addition I'm super excited about, the Supernova M99 Mini. Super bright light on the high beam. It's 1250 lumens, which is incredible. And you've got the low beam button as well for riding during the day. Back at the front here, they've got this really custom snubber system here to work with the roll-off and to keep the tension on the belt. Really interesting design here. Very clean. We've got the frame lock as well, which is going to help keep your bike safe. Cargo bikes definitely take a lot more thought if you're planning on stealing it. But overall, really excited about the new features. You can find all of the details, including my previous video where I go through all the detailed specs, on our website at citruscycles.ca. I wanted to point out the really cool new child seat system that they have for the Load and the Paxter. So you can see we've got in the Load 60 here 2 child seats with seat belts, of course. I'm going to bring you over to the other side and show you what makes these really innovative. I'm looking at the back now. Now, this isn't the innovative thing. This is actually the lock for the hardcover, which is really cool and I'm very excited about. This is an optional cover that allows you to bring fully enclose it and then lock in whatever you need to lock in there. What I wanted to show you back here is there's a quick release adjustment on the seat. So we can actually open that up, take the seat right out if we wish, or open it up. We can get it higher, or we can get it lower and push it all the way down forward. Of course, we've got a new feature in there as well, a footwell, so that you can actually flip up and kids can put their feet in there. And what happens when you flip that up is it actually divides the rest of the space into luggage space, so it's not going to collide with their feet. Lots of very clever features, and of course they've integrated that into the Paxter here as well. If we come back, you can see we've got that same quick release system that allows us to easily remove the seats. Another really cool thing, come back over here to the load, I'll show you. So you can see we've got the 2 seats in there, but there's a third hole in the middle there, and that actually allows you if you just want to use one seat. So in the past you kind of had both seats all the time. With this you can actually take one of the seats out and just have one in the middle, or have them both on each side. Really quite a very clever and innovative system. Here is the Load 75 in my dream configuration. We have the GX option, which gives us these knobby Smart Sam tires on the back here. It's actually a Smart Sam Plus, which has a high degree of puncture resistance, and the GX also gives us the Smart Sam up on the front here, this nice little 20-inch. We've got the 3 child seat options with the new child seats that can be adjusted or take them out very easily. We've of course got the foot area in there. This is the very cool rain cover. You can see it's kind of got a sunroof on it, the sides open up, and really great for protecting kids from the weather. And of course, one of my favorite features here is the roll-off hub with the electronic shifting, Gates carbon fiber belt. We've got, of course, a snubber here and a spring system. Very clever German engineering from Riesenmüller's part to allow the full travel of the independent rear suspension here. That suspension, sure, it's going to smooth out the ride, but it gives you loads of control. I love the handling characteristics of this bike, and part of that is that full suspension really makes a difference. So we've got the Gates carbon fiber belt, so there's no maintenance. The roll-off of the electronic shifting, you can shift while you're stopped. That's brilliant. You've got some kids up there in the cargo area with you, and you're kind of riding around, not paying attention to what's, planning ahead and knowing when you're going to have to downshift. Not a problem with the roll-off. To stop suddenly, somebody cuts you off at a traffic light or whatever, kids need something, stop. Go ahead and shift while you're stopped. Easy enough to do. With that huge gear ratio, 520% gear ratio, you can climb up any hill with this. We've got the integrated Supernova tail light here, super front bright light as well, and we've got this really neat cable management system here. Lots to love about the bike. I love the color, love the tires, excited about the roll-off. For all the details on this bike, head over to our website at citruscycles.ca. Well, I'm super excited to be riding the Load 75 roll-off. This is actually almost my dream bike, and I say almost because the one I'm riding doesn't have the GX option. My personal cargo bike will be the Load with the roll-off, the Gates carbon belt, and of course that GX option for the knobby tires. But the type of riding I'm going to be doing for this ride test here at Eurobike is, fairly limited to pavement and a little bit of gravel. So these Supermoto X tires, not the Supermoto X, the Shelby Big Apple or Big Ben, there we go, this will be the jet lag, will be more than adequate for this kind of riding. Love having the roll-off, really great for shifting, especially on a cargo bike. You may end up being riding in an urban environment or just distracted by keeping your eye on your kids. With that roll-off, you can easily shift while you're stopped, automatically downshifts, which is pretty fantastic. And of course, you've got a huge gear ratio, 520% gear ratio. So back home in Ladysmith, I've got some massive hills. This is going to make those hills so much easier. Speaking of easier on the hills, this features the Bosch Gen 4 CX drive. So lots of torque for the hills, lots of assistance. And when you get past that cutoff speed, here on the Euro version of it, it's 25 kilometers an hour. Of course, we're lucky in Canada, it doesn't start cutting out to 32 kilometers an hour. There's essentially no resistance from the motor. So you really don't notice dropping between just before the cutoff speed where you're getting assistance, then past the cutoff speed where it drops out, you hardly notice it at all. It's very, very smooth. Go off-roading here a little bit through this field. And, yeah, that's the great thing about having the full suspension on the load, is it just gives you so much traction. You're able to do stuff like this. I can't see the terrain. There's a lot of bumps in here, just not feeling them. It's pretty awesome that way. Brakes are super responsive. I love the upgraded brakes, working it really well. What I find interesting about the cargo bike motor here is the programming is a little bit different. It is the same motor, but I'm going to start, from a standstill here through deep grass, put it onto turbo, and boom, you get that power for a really easy start right away. It's not kind of ramping up like it does on the regular motor. That's really clever, because a lot of times, you're going to have a few kids in there, up to 3, and maybe you're going to start on a steep hill. You want that power immediately, and it certainly was giving that to me right away. As I was mentioning in one of my other videos that I'm doing here at Eurobike, I'm used to spending, 20 or 30 hours on a bike before I do the ride test review, because then I get a really good sense of how the bike handles. And look at me, I'm riding with one hand with this massive cargo bike, so obviously I'm fairly familiar with it. Not a lot has changed, but some of the new features are pretty exciting. So I haven't spent enough time on the cargo bike motor here really to have much more than that initial impression. I'm finding it's really quiet, which is very impressive. Even on turbo, I'm hammering on the pedals, and lots of power and very little noise, if any, which is really cool. And I'm wondering if the power delivery is a little smoother. It's perhaps, in a way, now this one hasn't been programmed with EMTB mode, and I'm not sure if that's possible with the cargo bike motor. In a way, it might feel a little bit a little bit less responsive, perhaps, than the CX drive. But that's perhaps a good thing, because with the cargo bike, you're not doing this, generally speaking. Instead, you want a fairly consistent riding experience when you are, got a load in an urban environment with kids and that sort of thing. So it's something I think they've done a good job of. I understand that it may be possible to change the programming in the future back to the CX drive, but I am enjoying how smooth and responsive it is. So I've kind of wandered onto the mountain bike course here. And it just shows you, this bike can handle pretty much anything you want to throw at it. It's pretty awesome. That full suspension, of course, is designed to improve the handling of the bike, especially with loads. But you know what? It's working really well on this mountain bike course right now. Lots of fun. Didn't really intend on coming through here, but it's working out quite well.